Okay, anybody wants to read 2.11?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Sanskrit you will read or?
Yeah, okay. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asochananvasocastvam pragnavadamscha bhashase gatasunagatasumscha nanusochanti panditaha.
Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. Purport. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know who is learned, and who one who knows that what is body and what is soul does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." As explained in the later chapter, it will be clear that the knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The baby is born and is
Body.
destined to vanquish.
The
So
body is
sorry,
born.
the body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who know this actually is one who know this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause of for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body.
Every line in this purport is like a punch. Hmm. Lord at once took the position of teacher and chastised because Arjuna wanted. Arjuna said, Shishyasteham. So Krishna is saying, yeah, yathamam prapanyanti. Okay, now I will. You want to be disciplined, I'm disciplining you. Disciplining you. You are a fool, right? Um, someone might think, oh, okay, Krishna, Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. Krishna would have been, like nice, and he would have spoken nice words, comforting words. No, direct starts off with you are a fool. Hmm? Um, one who knows what is body and what is soul does not lament for any stage of the body. This we have to remember. Na sochati, no lamentation for any stage of the body. This is very practical application for devotees. This is the ABCD actually. This is the basic of spiritual life. But Prabhupada used to repeat this so many times, and devotees used to ask Prabhupada, why you are saying the same thing? You're not body, your spirit, soul. Prabhupada said, because you don't understand. We don't understand. Even after hearing this a zillion times, we still think that we are the body. Or at least that's how we deal with our life and situations. So what is knowledge? Knowledge means to know matter and spirit and controller of both. Knowledge doesn't mean, how do I write a computer program? How do I run a business? Or, etc., etc. That's not knowledge. That's just vocational training. I mean, that's just information, knowledge that is there, dead knowledge, just for us to make a living, so-called. But real knowledge is that we should know matter, spirit, and controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance, but he did not learn that knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme is even more important than religious formularies, right? So this knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme is more higher than anything in this world. Any other rules, any other principles. So one who lacks this knowledge, which this knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme, should not pose himself as very learned. And this is the disease of the modern man. The disease of the modern man is everybody wants to pose that they are learned, but nobody is learned because they don't have this knowledge of matter, soul, and supreme. Right? They don't have an understanding that there is a soul, that there is afterlife, that there is a supreme Lord in control. They don't know any of this, but they pose themselves as learned. This is cheating. This is one of the four, deficiencies of human. Cheating. This is cheating propensity. So as he did not as he did not happen to be a very learned man, so he was lamenting. So which means that if we are lamenting, that means that we are not really learned. He might have some knowledge, but if we don't apply it, then that knowledge is useless. So then we are not called learned. Learned means one who has theory and practical, both gnana and vijnana. And if we are actually doing in practice, then we will not be lamenting. There is, therefore, body is not as important as the soul. Again, you should remember this. That means the activities of the body are not important as activities of the soul. Activities of the soul are the most important one. One who knows this will not lament regardless of the condition of material body. So we should, I mean, this purport is so powerful that we should just stop worrying about our body and thereabouts, right? Like what is connected to the body. We should just do the needful, whatever is required, and that's it. Not beyond. And focus on really the activities of the soul and not the activities of the body, because body is unimportant. Body is not as important. You can't say unimportant, but not as important as the soul. And if one is lamenting, that means that he is not learned. And if you want to get out of lamentation, you have to become learned. You have to understand the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and apply it in our life. This is why Prabhupada's purports are so powerful, right? Just one purport and it'll just make you think, saying, what am I doing? How am I living my life? Completely opposite to this purport. Mostly we are living opposite to this purport. We are so concerned about our body, even though we have heard this multiple times. We are chanting. Still we are concerned about the body, about, future, about this, that, so many things. So very powerful. Please meditate on this purport. Okay, anybody wants to say anything?
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. I have a question related to not fully on this purport, but there are a few points here which says we do not lament on any state of the body changing. But most of the times, whenever even though we have this knowledge that we are not the body, we are soul, but all this is coming from our mind, right? And the mind. So how do we stand at some stage in our practice? Our mind is not speaking, but we are going beyond, because all our prayers, all our meditation is through the mind, right? How do we surpass that mental thinking and come to the spiritual thinking?
Yeah, so very important question. See, manorotena sato dhavato bahi. यस्यास्ति भक्तिर्भगवत्य कंचना सर्वैर् गुणैस्तत्त्वस्तव समासते सुरा हरावभक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणात् मनोरथेन असतो धावतो बहि. Materialist is on the mental platform. Devotee should not be on the mental platform. Mental means just thinking. Na sochati na kankshati. Actually, I put this right sutra. This is the sutra actually. So this is a matter of practice. It's like anything else, right, that we learn. For example, somebody needs to learn cycling. How will he learn cycling? By actually practicing, right? Somebody will say, okay, you have to put your pedal, like here, pedal like this, try to balance. They'll be holding for some time and they'll leave it right after that. And then we have to practice. So this is also is a matter of practice, because over zillions of lifetimes, we have just got used to, applying the mind on material things so much. We are so engrossed in material things. See, mind is born out of goodness, mode of goodness. Okay, mind is naturally, mind's job is to accept and reject. So, but mind has to, the subject of the mind that the mind focuses on needs to be changed, because mind cannot stop. We cannot stop the mind from thinking. Because thinking, willing, and feeling are the activities of mind. So mind will think, mind will, and mind will feel. But what topic is the most important thing, right? So if we are so engrossed in material topics, then the mind will engage in material topics. If we are engaged in spiritual activities, then our mind will engage in spiritual topics. So it's not again a matter of mental platform. It's we don't bring about this change on the mental platform. It's not like some switch saying that okay, now move from thinking about material objects to start thinking about spiritual things. No, it's not again a switch of the mind, right? That is why Sevan Mukhe Jivado. The only way this can happen is when we engage ourselves in service, because action absorbs us, right? When we are involved in action, that action absorbs our mind. So the whole idea is that we have to engage in service, and that is the reason why we are trying to push devotees, saying that okay, do some calling, talk to devotees, try to do some preaching. Because see, if we don't voluntarily take up service, mind is going to be engaged in wherever we are, whatever service we are engaged in. What service are we engaged in? That of the material world, right? So the mind is absorbed in material things. So unless you give opportunity, unless you engage in service actively and take it up seriously, mind has no incentive to switch parties, right? So it will continue. Right? So that is why seva, service is so important, that we have to engage in seva. If we don't engage in service, then the mind has absolutely nothing else but to just focus on material things. And that will create that switch. Automatically it will create the switch.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else has anything? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, quick one question. So,
Hmm.
so you mentioned regarding vocational
Training.
training happening in material world, right? So I'm confused. I'm confused in terms of that. It's like for the office hours, is it okay to do that vocational training if
Yeah.
vocation?
Okay. So your question is, I mean, basically, you're saying that I am saying that uh, work is not important, not as important, because the work that we are doing right now is concerned with the body, right?
Yes.
It's nothing concerned with the soul at this point of time, right? Now, what do we do? So should we do? Should we not do? So there are two things here. I will give you the straightforward answer first. Okay. So better is if you don't have a need to do. Okay, is the direct answer. Now I mean, like, it might not be practical for many people, etc., etc. Right? That also depends on our mindset, etc. Many multiple things. But when we work outside, right, when we are not directly engaged in devotional service, when we are engaged in activities of this material world, how do we spiritualize them? One is, if we can work directly for Krishna, if we can use our abilities directly for Krishna, that is good. If not, the results have to be used in Krishna's service. That is the reason why also, we keep pushing grahasthas to make some donations. Right now, to the extent we make donations, we help the Krishna consciousness movement. To that extent, that time that is uselessly wasted becomes converted to some spiritual benefit for us.
Yes.
But if we earn money and if we keep it for our own sense gratification and use it for our own happiness requirement, etc., then we are badly stuck, right? Then slowly and steadily we have to start. I mean, which is why initially maybe 5%, 10%, something we should start, right? Monthly. If we are earning like 10% is minimum. I won't say maximum. It's minimum, right? We should start using that, right? Then this time also will bring us some value, spiritual value. Otherwise, it's not just waste of time. Actually, it's bondage, right? Because if we work like this on the material, we'll discuss that in third chapter
Sure.
and fifth chapter. But the whole point is that we should be engaging only just enough, just only as much as is required to keep the body and soul together. But if we are getting more than that, for example, if our expenses is 20,000, but we are earning 1 lakh now, which means that, okay, Rupa Goswami said 50% for Krishna, 25% for family, 25% for emergencies, personal emergencies. So 25,000 you can just bank it. 25,000 you spend for your monthly expenses, etc. Technically 50,000 you should give for Krishna. Now even if you don't give 50,000, say you give 20,000 and you keep that 30,000 as personal emergency, which you can use to come out of the responsibility the earliest, right? Like it will become your saving and it might help you exit from work, right? But clearly, I mean, definitely not for sense gratification. We shouldn't be earning for sense gratification, which is basic, very basic point. And how much ever possible, we should use in the service of Krishna, because that directly gets purified. And the remaining we can keep with the intention that purely that we will use this to kind of come out of this whole work business and engage full time in Krishna service. That's the summary of what we should be doing.
Understood.
Okay.